Today we're going to talk about startups and specifically, should you work for a startup as a junior developer? The answer is obviously it depends on the startup, but I've worked for startups, for medium-sized companies and for big public companies, and there are some key differences between each. In this video, I want to give you some insight into what you can expect if taking a job at a startup is something that you're considering.
Now, Bart, we can't pay you salary, but we can give you stock.
How's your company going to make money? Do you have a business model?
How many shares of stock will it take to end this conversation?
2 million.
It is done.
Firstly, what is a startup, really? Well, a startup is essentially just a new company, but we can go a bit further to say that a startup is a company that hopes to one day become large. And they often hope to do that through tech, because software has this incredible ability to scale extremely rapidly and extremely cheaply. If you are a great app, you can go from 5 users to 5,000 users pretty much overnight without having to write any more code. And that's why startups find so much easier to get investment, because of this scaling. Startups also come with a very high risk, and failure is very possible. If a startup that you work for fails and begins to really struggle, you could find yourself out of a job through no fault of your own. So you need to be aware of that. On the flip side though, they can also be very fun and unique places to work with great benefits, a focus on innovation, great opportunities to learn. And it's the learning piece that matters the most to you as a junior developer. You might not get paid very much and you might find yourself redundant in a few years' time, but you will learn something, and that's really, really important for your career. So let's talk about money actually. Remember, startups nearly always don't make a profit, so most of the money that pays your wages has to come from either the founders themselves or from their investors. So you're being paid from borrowed money basically every month, and because of that, you'll find that startups will pay you as little as they can get away with. So if startups can't pay very well, then how do they get good developers? And they do get good developers, or at least the successful ones do. The first handful of developers at all of the major tech companies were exceptionally smart, dedicated software engineers that probably could have gone and got paid twice as much if they went to a bigger company like Google. Well, how do the startups get those people? Well, they get them by offering them more than just money. And this is where perks come in, like free coffee, free beer, no dress code, bring your dog to work, bring your cat to work. Startups are generally extremely lax on the rules because there's more important things for them to worry about, like where next month's paycheck is coming from. It's a very scrappy and informal way of working, basically because it can be. Nobody's auditing your 6-person startup, and so they don't really need hard rules around things like that. They also offer you equity, so you'll actually own some of the business. And if you really believe in the vision a startup is trying to realize, then that equity could be something that appeals to you. I mean, it would have been great to get even like a 0.1% share of Netflix or something back in the day. That would be worth millions now. I mean, literally millions, right? Like Netflix is worth about $250 billion. So even something that sounds as small as 0.01%, well, that's still $25 million worth of equity today. But don't get too carried away with shares and option. Remember, the vast majority of startups fail and your shares are worth nothing. So the one thing I will say is please don't go to work at a startup thinking that your shares will make you a millionaire one day, because they probably won't. Do it because you want to learn and do it because you want to have fun. I worked at a startup back in 2016 and it was the most fun job I've ever had, and I'm still really good friends with the people that I worked with there. It's like being in a band or something working at a startup. You can really feel valued and you're given a huge amount of freedom. My startup failed and most will, so go into it with your eyes open. So when all's said and done, should you work for a startup? I'm going to say yes, but probably not as your first software development job. If you can accept the downsides, which are low pay, often longer hours, the risk that your company could collapse at any minute, if you can accept those, then working at a startup is great and you will learn so much about yourself and about how to run a business. You might go into a startup as a mobile developer and within a year you've learned backend, or you've learned DevOps, or you've learned user experience, or product managing, or marketing, or sales, or generally the smaller the company that you work for, you're going to have to pick up new skills outside of just writing code. And that can be a lot of fun. It's also invaluable if you plan to one day start your own side hustle or even start your own business. So in conclusion, I would say that yes, if you find a startup that you really believe in and you get on with the founders, you should give it a go. Just don't do it as your first job probably, and do it with your eyes open. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you in the next video.